Revel Tales! Ha 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 ha! Hello and salutations, friends. My name is Revel the Jester, and I'm here to share with you a multitude of fantastic stories. Many great beings have entered the workshop of the old tinkerer and walked away satisfied with his craftsmanship. However, there has always been one client in particular whom the old tinkerer has held in the highest regard. This client requested a true work of art that was nearly beyond his mystical faculties.
Some time ago, an eccentric elderly fellow dressed in royal garbs entered my parlor. "I'm told that you are master craftsman," he said to me with a wry grin. "Is this true?" I chuckled to myself at the audacity of my client as I gestured to a shelf of my latest creations. With a silent nod of approval, he approached my work table and placed a folded piece of paper in front of me. "I would like you to make this for me," he requested. "Name your price. Money is no object." At first I thought he was daft. Imagine telling me of all beings that money was no object. I had half a mind to charge him exorbitantly as a lesson to remind him to choose his words carefully. With a chuckle of sardonic mirth, I unfolded the paper and examined its contents. Upon inspection, my jaw nearly dropped. Never before had my eyes seen such an intricate and well-mapped design. If made, it would no doubt become one of the greatest spectacles to have ever been created. A work of art that would improve even after the creator had long since passed. Whoever the old royal was, he was clearly a genius of sorts. Of that much I was certain. As I placed the paper down upon the table, I looked at him. A toothy grin was now present upon his face. "So," he began, "can you make it?" "Certainly," I replied while continuing to stare. "But first, what is your name, my lord? What is this creation called?" With a laugh that echoed throughout the room, the royal stood tall whilst combing his silver beard. "Those that know me best call me G-Man, and this little project of mine is called humanity."
Revel Tales! Ha 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 ha! Hello and salutations, friends. My name is Revel the Jester, and I'm here to share with you a multitude of fantastic stories. Legends are born when brave individuals take actions that no one else is willing to take. The tale of the master blacksmith Hiraga Sumiyoshi is no different. Here is his story.
There is a tale that has been passed down in my family for generations. It is about a man who had such immense prowess with the katana that he was dubbed the Angel Samurai by our ancestor. Hiraga Sumiyoshi was his name. Both a master bladesmith and devout brother-in-arms, he supplied the last remaining samurai with the legendary daito of his craft. In battle, he was said to move like lightning, felling any and all foes who would dare challenge his way of enacting the laws of Bushido. On his final day of life, Hiraga stood his ground along with our ancestor. Many of their comrades had fallen to the new weaponry of the enemy, but despite the bloodshed, despite the odds, the two stood their ground. Before engaging the enemy for his final assault, Hiraga gave our ancestor a blessing. "From this day forth," he began, "you and your descendants shall live on to tell my story, our story. Those who have passed on this day must never be forgotten." It is through understanding great acts of selflessness that enables all people to grow and benefit from the sacrifices of their forebearers.
Revel Tales! Ha 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 ha! Hello and salutations, friends. My name is Revel the Jester, and I'm here to share with you a multitude of fantastic stories. The Panacea Cauldron is said to be a powerful magical item that is meant to heal any and all ailments. Here is a tale about its current owner.
When I was a little girl, before the world became so busy, I lived in a small village near a beautifully lush and verdant forest. I would spend my days out marveling at all the different sights, smells, and sounds of what I used to call New Eden. It was all so wonderful, and it was there where I first met her, Emelsa, the medicine woman. I had heard about her in passing from the village elders' long talks, but seeing her in the flesh was an entirely different perspective. She was beautiful, with snow-white skin and long flowing locks of golden hair. Her lips bore a deep scarlet red, and her green eyes were as bright as the morning sun upon fresh spring leaves. Every time I saw her, she always wore a blue velvet dress, and was always so kind to me, so very, very kind. One day, as I roamed through the forest, in a drifting stroll of guileless wonderment, she called out to me from a garden through the trees. As I came near, she crouched herself down until we were at eye level, and she smiled at me before turning herself towards the assorted flora while pointing a solitary finger at them. "I've done it, child. Remember this place," she said softly. Without turning back, she walked away deep into the green wood. My eyes began to well with tears. Somehow, deep inside, I knew something was wrong. I tried to call out to her, but before I could muster a sound, she was gone. To this day, I have no idea what happened to Emelsa. The only trace I was ever able to find of her was a black iron cauldron laced with golden vines at the very spot where she had last spoken with me. Inside the cauldron was a withered journal of medicinal notes that I've used as a guide ever since to heal the sick, and this sealed letter. To my surprise, not one soul has ever seemed to know of the existence of the garden aside from myself. It's always had what I needed, and what everyone's needed.
Revel Tales! Ha 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 ha! Hello and salutations, friends. My name is Revel the Jester, and I'm here to share with you a multitude of fantastic stories. All people are born under certain stars that guide and shape them through the trials of life. Those born under the star of the night are sworn protectors who live to serve and maintain order, even at the expense of their own life. Here is a tale of a man who embodies the ethos of knighthood.
In the days of old, there were many of us, but alas, I am one of but a few who yet remain. The kingdom I swore allegiance to, nay, the world itself, has changed beyond recognition. mission. Despite our heroic acts of valor against the darkness, we warriors who have remained were labeled as demons by the very people we strove to protect. There are evil forces that aim to extinguish hope and freedom, but the masses willfully turn a blind eye, trading values for false comfort. Night of Awakening is my title, my duty, my burden. I regret nothing as I stand here and wait for the hordes of the foolishly misled. They come for me now. I have been forsaken, but I find peace in knowing the others will carry on. I wonder, will I be a martyr or just another unsung hero?
Revel Tales! Ha 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 ha! Hello and salutations, friends. My name is Revel the Jester, and I'm here to share with you a multitude of fantastic stories. The world we live in is filled with ancient magic and forgotten relics. This next story covers one of the many artifacts that has led to some of the greatest legends ever told. Sit back, relax, and allow yourself to be regaled by the tale of the sword in the chest. In modern times, the whereabouts of powerful relics have either been lost or placed in the hands of the inordinately selfish. Each has their purpose in the grand scheme of the universe, but the events of humanity's historical development has led to an era of nearly laughable ignorance. One such relic lies deep within a gorge in one of the world's oceans. The creator unknown, its power immense, and its value immeasurable. Majesty's Choice is its name. A golden sword embedded into a chest made of the very first wood. To any and all who come across it, dreams of vast wealth or limitless power become instantly attainable. But only one must be chosen. Those stricken with avarice perish instantly upon trying to take the chest and sword simultaneously. A pity, considering the great lengths they must have taken in order to reach this rare chance of unquestionable power. Alexander, Arthur, Joan, and a man by the name of Musa are but a few who have crossed paths with Majesty's Choice. To live by the sword grants incredible exploits, but a short life. To live by the chest grants the wherewithal and influence that comes with the currency that the masses covet and respect. Whichever is chosen, however, ultimately becomes a lesson to the taker, that between the sword and the chest, a great price must always be paid. Revel Tales! Ha 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 ha! Hello and salutations, friends. My name is Revel the Jester, and I'm here to share with you a multitude of fantastic stories. Relationships of all kinds help people to find out about themselves and who they choose to be in life. Values, codes of honor, and integrity are all built from the foundations of one's closest relations. As fate would have it, I have yet another tale to share about a wholesome bond. Sit back and listen to the tale of Sweet Thing.
Mondays. God, I hate Mondays. It may sound cliche, but I assure you, my reasons are absolutely justified. It was on a Monday that I met her, and ultimately lost her too a few years later. She was beautiful, with eyes that could make even the worst cloudy day brighter. When she set her mind to a goal, she always found a way to make it part of our reality. I'm a simple man, always have been, but when I was with her, she would bring out the best in me and make me dance along with the complexities of her bombastic personality. I think what I miss most is how we used to play around. And boy, did she love to play around. But hey, that's life, right? No matter the beginning, there's always an end, even if you're not ready for it. Ours just happened to arrive when her owners saw us walking down the street. Precious Clara is what they called her, but to me, you'll always be Mabel Softpaw, my little kitten. Sweet thing.
Revel Tales! Ha 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 ha! Hello and salutations, friends. My name is Revel the Jester, and I'm here to share with you a multitude of fantastic stories. Competition is a normal part of life. But as with most things, too much of it can have serious consequences. Here is a tale about a snail and his egotistical brother. I call it Snail Bert the Slow.
See that snail yelling in the back and about to lose his shit?
Louis! What do you think you're doing? On our mother's grave, if you cross that line, I'm gonna disown you! Louis! Louis!
That's my brother Snail Bert. I guess he's angry that I'm about to win this race. Ever since we were snail hatchlings, he always gloated about how fast he was.
You know what I like about you, Louis? You may not be as fast as me, but you stay in your lane. Stick by me and I'll bring you places.
To his credit, his speed was always impressive, but only in the wetlands. I met a city snail once years ago who happened to watch one of our swamp's annual relays. Snailbert participated, of course, sporting his now iconic pimped-out turtle shell, and won. But the city snail was not impressed. He turned to me and muttered,
"You kidding me? I know at least 50 snails who'd leave that guy in the dust. Most of these guys aren't even using slime drifting."
"Slime drifting?" I asked. The city snail snickered and told me all about it. After that day, I practiced and practiced until I finally got it. And well, here we are. I'm inches away from crossing the finish line, and all Snailbert can do is scream and whine like a punk. I guess he should have been improving his run skills instead of running his mouth.
Revel Tales! Ha 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 ha! Hello and salutations, friends. My name is Revel the Jester, and I'm here to share with you a multitude of fantastic stories. Places that bring people together in the forms of merriment and camaraderie oftentimes involve a helping of spirits to bolster the moment. However, the type of spirits that a person partakes in can have varying effects. Here is a tale about a tavern keeper who is well versed in understanding his patrons.
What'll it be, traveller? Beer, wine, or spirits? Believe it or not, whichever suits your fancy tells more about you than you'll ever know. I've met all kinds of people in this here bar of mine, from blustered fools to introspective scholars looking to muddy their overactive minds. No matter the customer, each has a reason to sip and share a tale. To many, I'm a confidant and friend, and to some, I'm an expensive liability that they forget when sobered up. If you're unsure, that's fine too. Take your time. Water and juice is just as good of a marker as any you know. But between you and me, in my line of work, a casual partaking of firewater always helps to unlock one's potential. Enough of my blabbering. So, what'll it be?
Revel Tales! Ha 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 ha! Hello and salutations, friends. My name is Revel the Jester, and I'm here to share with you a multitude of fantastic stories.
The name of the ecosystem in Africa, called the Serengeti, stands for endless plains, or land that runs on forever. Here is a tale about its origin. On their first day of life, she walked onto the water, and with her head held high, she sang to the heavens. All the animals stood in awe as her song of praise rang throughout the land. She was the first human and mother-to-be of mankind. On that day, the only animals to approach her were the colobus monkeys and great lions with golden manes. When she finished, she looked at them and smiled. From this day forth, you shall be my vassals, she decreed. When my children are in need, you will give them guidance and show them the way to their happiness. The colobus monkeys bowed in reverence to the goddess as the lions roared with pride. Praise to you, mother of all. Live long, lady of the Serengeti.
Revel Tales! Ha 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 ha! Hello and salutations, friends. My name is Revel the Jester, and I'm here to share with you a multitude of fantastic stories.
Hallows Eve is nearly upon us. While it may be a time of merriment and laughter for most, it is also a time where true monsters and ghastly horrors take rise into the world of man. Here is one of many tales I must share with you on such an occasion. Sit back and hear the tale of the misfortuned apprentice.
Whatever you do, don't leave this room until I return. Those were the last words spoken to Ruvian the magician and his classmates Lestra and Nelik by the great wizard Ildor. In the week that had gone by, both Lestra and Nelik disobeyed Ildor's command and left through the great iron door of the cold stone room they were meant to reside in. Upon leaving, each took one of the 3 keys left upon a nearby table and used 2 of the 3 keyholes of the iron door to make their escape. As Ruvian sat alone in the dimly lit room, his mind began to wander. It has been a while since Master Ildor left. Maybe this is another one of his tests, he muttered. As he shifted a bit in his chair, he looked over at the table where the last key remained, as well as a few loaves of dry oat bread and 3 half-filled pitchers of water. The bread is getting moldy,
he thought to himself. And in another week or so, the water will be gone. If the others were here, there wouldn't be a food supply. With a heavy sigh, Ruvian stood up and approached the table. His eyes were completely fixated on the black iron key. As he reached out and grabbed it, a loud thud came from behind the iron door.
Startled by the sudden sound, Ruvian leapt back and stared in horror as the door began to open slowly.
Darting his eyes around in search of a hiding place, Ruvian acted quickly and dove into a nearby open bedchamber chest. He closed it as swiftly and quietly as possible, lying in wait with bated breath. Peering through the keyhole of the chest, Ruvian nearly cried out in fear as he watched a grotesque gray-skinned creature slink from behind the door. Its eyes were sunken, with a body seemingly emaciated from hunger. Its long yellow nails scraped along the floor as it sniffed about the room and growled. Uttered the monster as it stood on its hind legs.
Your friends told me all about you. Where are you? I know you are here.
A cold sweat fell upon Ruvian as he watched the creature knock over the table and continue to speak.
They were both so kind, so friendly, so delicious. Ruvian! They cried out as they tried to stop me from chewing.
The monster paused in its step and looked up at the ceiling while licking its lips.
But no one came. Now I am here for you.
With a turn, the creature faced the chest and sat on the ground. Ruvian gulped as it turned its head to the side as if directly staring at him.
I wonder, young magician, who will you call for?
Well now, what do we have here? Inquired the great wizard Ildor as he approached his pupil Ruvian, who sat quietly at a table in the great archival library of Lord's Wisdom. With a beaming smile, Ruvian looked up at his mentor and pointed to the text before him. It's a book on mystical creatures, Master, he exclaimed. Turning his attention back to the book, Ruvian flipped through page after page with unbridled excitement. There are so many I haven't seen before. It's all so very fascinating. As he flipped to another page, Ruvian paused. His smile began to fade, but his eyes grew wide with intrigue as he gazed upon an image of a creature with gray skin, sunken eyes, elongated nails, and massive horns. Master? Ruvian began, followed by a gulp. What is an urugmal? Ildor remained silent for a moment before placing a palm on the young magician's shoulder. In the Age of War, the urugmal nearly wiped all magicians from existence. To them, it mattered not if one was a master or a student of the arcane arts. Their skin absorbs magic, and once a caster is exhausted, they feast upon their victim. Ruvian stared at the image of the creature as Ildor continued. It is with great thanks that we must honor the sacrifice of the 40 Magi who banished those monsters from our world. They ended the Age of War and allowed casters like ourselves to thrive once again. Yes, Ruvian replied with a nod. I am very grateful. The young magician blinked for a moment and screamed in horror upon opening his eyes and remembering his reality. Urugmal! He cried
as the bedchamber chest he was hiding in opened to reveal the face of the monster. Globs of saliva and ichor dripped from the mouth of the Uruk-Mol as it stared down at Ruvian and tilted its head.
How curious!
It uttered as it began to scoop the frightened magician from within the chest. Tears streamed down Ruvian's face as he was cradled helplessly above the Uruk-Mol's head, hooked by one of its gnarled nails.
Many ages have passed since my kind was lost in this realm. To think the Magi still remember us, it warms my heart.
Please, 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 Ruvian sobbed as he clutched the black iron key tightly in his hands and stared at the monster as it began to open its unhinged jaws. Spare me!
See that snail slime drifting on the wrong lane trying to catch up to this bus to Mucus City? Louis! You baby back! Get over here and race me! That's my brother, Snail Bert. Let me tell you about that asshole. A few months ago, I participated in our swamp's annual relay for the first time ever. Though I joined on a whim, it just so happened that I won thanks to some training and the tutelage of my coach and friend, Slimy. He's actually the city snail who's sitting right next to me. Now, instead of embracing me and giving me an old brotherly tap of approval on the shoulder, Snail Bert sneered and said, "Didn't have my coffee. I was just tired. Dove!" Naturally, the judges didn't allow that, of course, and handed me the trophy. Fine, bet, whatever. You would think, right? Well, you're wrong. You see, Snail Bert is an emotional snail, and it would be perfectly fine if he were a hatchling, but as a grown snail, it's gross. The least he can do is thank me for teaching him how to slime drip.
Louis, holy sh! Is that the guy with the fancy shell drip? That is crazy!
Yeah, it's Snail Bert. He learned the move finally. I'm happy for him. But hold on, let me finish this roast though for my fans. Anyway, here we are. I'm finally leaving this old swamp to improve on what I've learned. And though he's a loudmouth little, maybe Snail Bert can learn something on our journey to become professional racists.
I think you mean professional races, buddy.
Yes, that.
Revel Tales! Ha 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 ha!
Hello and salutations, friends. My name is Revel the Jester, and I'm here to share with you a multitude of fantastic stories.
Hallows Eve is nearly upon us. While it may be a time of merriment and laughter for most, it is also a time where true monsters and ghastly horrors take rise into the world of man. Here is one of many tales I must share with you on such an occasion. Sit back and hear the tale of the harvest.
My word, it is so good of you to come, O Reaper of the Plowlands, and with your family to boot. The king will be very pleased, announced the Chamberlain of Leather Castle. Yar the farmer looked over his shoulder at the two enormous plume knights following him and his daughters before directing his attention back to the esteemed servant of the king. I didn't really have much of a choice, now did I? He responded in detest. The servant smiled devilishly as he backed away swiftly and gestured his hands to the interior of the castle. With a grunt, Yar wrapped his arms around both of his daughter's shoulders and nudged them to step forward along with him. Claire, Lena, stay close to me, understand?
Yes, Father,
replied Claire the eldest, as Lena the youngest folded her arms and pouted in disapproval. Upon entering the castle, the young children looked up in awe at the enormous halls.
it's like we never left the outdoors.
Whispered Claire as she marveled at the grooved tree trunk pillars on either side of her and her family, as well as multiple colored leaves covering the entirety of the ground. Before long, Yar and his daughters arrived at the royal banquet table. From beginning to end, it was filled with sumptuous helpings of delicious food. A beautiful woman with golden hair, wearing a blue velvet dress, turned to meet their gaze and smiled slightly as she grabbed hold of a napkin and folded it upon her lap. "My liege," announced the chamberlain with a bow, "the Reaper of the Plowlands has finally arrived." From the head of the table, an elderly man dressed in a red tailcoat and a black cape with a bat's head pauldron on his shoulder raised a glass of dark red wine. "Welcome, House of Yar. Please, please take a seat," the king exclaimed. Yar stared angrily at the king as he approached the table before seating himself and his daughters. "It has been quite some time, Yar," spoke the king. "Why, I remember when your father—" "Don't you dare speak of him!" shouted Yar in rage as he interrupted the king and slammed a fist upon the table. Claire and Lena gasped in unison. Seldom had they seen their father act in such a way. The king lowered his glass as Yar continued. "He was a great man worthy of respect, and all his life you manipulated him and your country. I know the creature that you are, King Verug. Most believe that your kind is but a mere myth, but my father's final words ring out to me still, even after all these years." King Verug smiled at Yar in derision. "Enlighten me. Just what were they?" he inquired with a scoff. Verug's words glisten like sterling silver to his countrymen. He promises greatness to those beneath him, but in reality, each and every one of them is but his playthings for his amusement. Beware his call, for if you enter the threshold of his stronghold, thou shalt not return alive. A deafening silence filled the room as King Verug stood up and folded his arms. "Chamberlain," he called to his servant with a stern face, "are the exits sealed? I believe I will start the harvest with this one." "Yes, my lord. The Plume Knights lie in wait on all levels to serve you. On your mark," the chamberlain replied. "Let us begin," uttered King Verug. Without warning, the lights of the great hall grew dim, and the royal banquet table turned to glow red with arcane sigils of malice. Whispers surrounded the air around the king and his guests as they stood up from the table. Grabbing hold of his daughters, Yar backed away and watched as King Verug became surrounded in a shroud of black mist. "Run, run, do what you will. The harvest begins, my eternal thrill."
When the giants came, entire forests flattened, like grass beneath their feet. Cities and mountains were akin to dirt on their footpath. Oceans, puddles. All that remained of what we built was rubble and debris, stomped, scuffed, and kicked into the wind. The casualties were immeasurable. I wonder if they even knew we were here. In their shadow, day became night, and the air turned thick with the scent of earth torn apart. Their every step sent tremors across the land, splintering stone and uprooting what once seemed immovable. The giants were not cruel, nor were they merciful. They were indifferent. Their strides carried them forward, their gaze fixed on horizons beyond what we could fathom. We called them giants, though the word was far too small. They were walking worlds, their bodies wreathed in storms and mist, their eyes like distant stars flickering behind clouds. We prayed to gods we no longer believed in, begged for deliverance from beings too vast to even notice us, but no answer came. Only the sound of mountains crumbling and oceans draining away in their wake. Some tried to fight. A desperate resistance formed, wielding weapons forged in haste and fueled by fury. Towers mounted with cannons fired bright streaks into the endless gray above, only to watch the projectiles vanish before they even reached their mark. Arrows and missiles soared like raindrops into the void. The giants didn't even flinch. They walked on, unaware of the swarms of human ants throwing pebbles at their heels. I remember the day I saw one up close. It leaned down, its face obscured by shadows that stretched like eclipses across the land. Its breath, a wind so fierce it leveled what was left of the village nearby. It smelled of stone and something ancient, like the deep earth unearthed. Its hand was large enough to eclipse the moon. It reached for something unseen, perhaps a curiosity, perhaps nothing at all. And then it rose again, its towering frame disappearing into the mist, leaving behind a crater where my home once stood. Some said they were gods, come to reclaim the earth. Others thought them harbingers of the end, punishment for a world squandered. But I think they were something simpler. Travelers. Wandering beings crossing an expanse we were too small to see. When the last of them passed, the silence was deafening. We emerged from the cracks and caves, from burrows we dug in fear. The land was unrecognizable, an alien terrain of upheaved mountains and seas that no longer knew their shores. We stared at the void they left behind, wondering if we had survived, or simply been forgotten. Now, when the winds shift, carrying the faint tremors of distant steps, we listen. Not in hope, but in dread, because if they return, there will be nothing left to rebuild.
The village square bustled with its usual chatter when a figure appeared, pushing a cart adorned with glimmering trinkets and swirling glass jars. The wish collector had arrived. A child approached first, eyes wide with curiosity.
What do you sell?
He asked. Not what I sell, the collector said, voice soft and deliberate. But what I take, I trade for wishes. The child hesitated.
What do I get in return?
The collector's lips curled into a warm smile. Fulfillment. The boy pondered, then whispered,
I wish for the biggest toy in the world.
The collector handed him a polished marble. The child's eyes dimmed as he clutched it, his desire for the toy gone. The marble glowed faintly before the collector slipped it into a jar labeled Childhood Innocence. A farmer came next. His shoulders sagged from a strenuous day's work from the fields. I wish my crops would flourish, he said. The collector gave him a coin etched with strange symbols.
The farmer's face relaxed as if the weight of seasons had lifted. A wisp of golden manna left the farmer and made its way to the collector's cart. Another jar, labeled Hope, received its shimmering contents. As the sun dipped low, an old woman hobbled forward. Her hands trembled as she spoke.
I wish for just one more day with him.
The collector studied her with a smile and handed her a fragile feather. She smiled faintly, tears brimming. The collector placed her wish in a jar labeled Love, where it pulsed brighter than the rest. When the moon rose, the cart rolled away, leaving the villagers lighter, emptier. The collector vanished into the night, the jars on his cart glowing softly, a constellation of dreams, bartered and bottled.